Join us for a comparison: Mercedes-AMG GLE 63S versus the Mercedes-AMG GLS 63. So, let's go. In the front of the GLE 63, or also the 63S, you can see those vertical fins right there, strong front grille. Sensors are hidden behind the Mercedes logo. Then the LED daytime running light is all the same for all GLEs. LED is always standard, and then you can top it up if you want this multi-beam LED, for example. Very typical for the Mercedes GLE is that we have the C-pillar, which stands, let's say, against the wind. So this is a typical iconic shape for the GLE. And of course the GLE, if you compare it to the GLS, the shorter car. Standard, this one here comes with an air suspension in the AMG 63 model, but it's a little bit stiffer from a setup. And when you go faster than 120 kilometers or faster than 75 miles an hour, then it goes a little bit more down. And also when you go to a sports mode, then it also lowers a little bit to be more aerodynamic and so on. In this case, the wheel arches are painted in vehicle color. And it starts with 20-inch wheels with the 63 model, and the 63S model 21-inch. Those ones are the optional 22-inch. A modern tail lamp signature here in this new generation of the GLE. And the same, of course, goes for the 63S model in this case. They have a special S right there. Well, those exhaust tips on the outside, they are indeed just for view. The real exhaust on the inside, that is different, for example, with BMW, who also have the X5M and the X6M here on stage on the Los Angeles Auto Show. So we have a 4-liter V8 biturbo under the hood with either 571 or 612 horsepower in the S model. There we go. Well, the cover has an AMG cover, yes, but I think it could be a little bit more beautiful. Hand-built engine, so by one guy. There's also this badge. This guy is called, I think, Volker Haag. Yes, he built this engine. And acceleration figure 4 seconds or 3.8 seconds for the S model, then to 100 kilometers or 62 miles an hour. All-wheel drive, of course. And it's a variable all-wheel drive, has a little rear-wheel bias as well, and then it can also shift the momentum, rear and front wheels depending on the situation. In the front, the GLS 63 AMG, and there's no S model, because this one here already has the full horsepower output, just to say in advance. So in the front, has a little bit bigger front grille, and then, but again, this vertical fins right there, the same AMG styling. The multi-beam LED, so the more extensive LED option with the high beam function, come as standard with the GLS here. Of course, the price is also a little bit higher in general. And again, a very strong lower bumper here in a contrasting color to the white. So the GLS is 28 centimeters or 11 inches longer than the GLE. That counts for all the versions, of course, also here for the AMG. And what we have here, the side steps once again, then the night package. And wow, what about those wheels? Those are pretty unique, aren't they? So it starts already with an inch larger than the GLE, so it's 21-inch for the AMG model, and an optional 23-inch, the ones you can see here, but also different designs available if that's not your favorite one. Painted wheel arches as well, and above a speed of 120 kilometers or 75 miles an hour. Also, again, 10 millimeters lower. Also, when you put in the sports mode, the air suspension, also standard here, goes lower. So in the rear, the GLS, a little bit more upright window to get some more space for the last row, and of course then also for the trunk. And then the tail lamps are a little bit higher but have the same basic design, and also those fake exhaust tips on the outer part, those are also the same here for the AMG model. So there's no differentiation between 63 and 63S in the GLS. So this one directly comes with a 612 horsepower output for the 4-liter V8 bi-turbo engine. There it is. In this case also with a nice carbon fiber cover. And 4.2 seconds is the acceleration figure here. So that's 0.2 or 0.4 seconds difference than to the GLE, depending on if you compare to the 63 or the 63S. And all those new AMG engines here for the GLE and GLS, they both come with the MHEV system, so mild hybrid, and also with COD, so cylinder on demand. If that is really useful then for the fuel economy, we'll see about that when we're able to drive the cars. Let's move to the interior. Door closing sound. Yeah, it's quite okay, but actually we've just been to BMW and the X5 sounded better actually, I have to say. So the interior of the door, this then is the leather red cover, also very beautiful and soft. Then this aluminum brush look right there, it's seat control also here, big door pocket. Illuminated AMG entry badges, and you can also get the steering wheel with a microfiber on the sides with Dynamica microfiber. That's their brand. That's actually pretty fancy. You should go for that one then if you want a little bit more grip. Flat bottom, and the cruise control is right there on the left side, volume on the right side, and those ones will be controls for the suspension settings, and this one then here also for the driving mode at the steering wheel. Special AMG seats, they're quite voluminous as well. In this case with the 63 model only available with animal skin. A normal GLE does offer a wide variety of choices, full article, leatherette, Dynamica on the inside, article leatherette on the outside, sportier version for example, or in Europe even a lot of fabric options. Interior overview, everything is really centered on this dual screen setup, and we can also show you something of that here. For example, right there you can use the lower touchpad, you can also use the touchscreen itself, but you can also use your right thumb, but not if the car is not properly powered. So this would be possible, and then it would be zoomed in, for example, and scrolled right there. Oh, for using tracks only, we're not on the track. But there are actually like even some telemetry options here for the AMG model and so on, and AMG performance gauges when the engine is on. Again, if you want to see more of the touchscreen, then definitely tune into a full review. So getting in the rear of the GLE. Here we go, and there's now in this new generation more legroom than before, plenty of legroom. And this is also a big difference if you compare, for example, the BMW X5 or then GLE Coupe to the X6. Well, GLE Coupe has a little bit shorter wheelbase, so the difference is not that huge then, but here especially. But on the other hand, it's a little bit less comfortable to sit here, like in the than in the X5, because this bench here falls a little bit backwards. Feeling like a saint here, right? With the light from the upper top. Saint Thomas, there is one, right? Pretty famous one. So let's open the trunk, and here we go. So, pretty well usable, definitely. This lower part offers some more space, for example, also for a replacement tire if you like one. If you have the air suspension, you can also lower that one just a little bit. Now let's get inside the GLS. Oh, the door handle here. I mean, some of their prototype cars here, but there's like a gap here at the door handle. You know, at Autogefuhl, we pay attention to every detail. Yeah, but I mean, you have to say on the motor shows, sometimes like hand-built first cars, but we still show that. So then, interior of the door, it looks almost the same as in the GLE. In this case, we have here the carbon fiber inlets. You can also get the Mercedes sound system, huge door pocket. And interesting is that here's the one without the Dynamica, but with a microfiber is actually better. Carbon fiber inlet here, also dual widescreen setup. Then those seats, they have some Alcantara inserts here, at least. That's pretty neat. And also different styling, different colors are available, of course, for the seats. It's pretty much the same. So when you're sitting here in the front, you don't really feel such a difference. Maybe the hood is a little bit more, higher than in the GLE. But it's not that it would directly say it's not, there's a huge difference in the GLE and the GLS. Just a quick comparing look, because we have a dark setup here. That's again not special to GLS versus GLE. but just you can see how it looks like when it's, you know, in the dark, also in the lower part. The bright one always gives light to the interior, but the carbon fiber is actually quite cool. However, the lower part here again is this shiny piano lacquer, which again is collecting a lot of fingerprints. And if we take a look here at the rear of the GLS, easy entry, and of course you have even more legroom, and there's also a significant gain in legroom if you compare it to the predecessor GLS. So now let's get in this third seating row. See here, the seat is all the way then up, and I've left the bench here all the way forward. I could still sit on this bench then with all the way forward, but I also left an angle where I could comfortably sit. And now I get some warnings from my tailor again. And let's get inside here. That's, yeah, I mean, it's quite okay. And if I slide behind this bench here where I could still sit in the front, it's getting very close. So, you know, I have to spread my legs then a little bit. So yeah, that's really very close. So when we open the trunk right here with the Mercedes GLS, it's the same for AMG and non-AMG model. Of course, you have a longer trunk length. In general, here at the moment 6 and 7 seats are folded flat. Underneath, some more storage. This is a big difference here, just longer trunk than in the GLE. So here we go with our conclusion. Well, some other guys are also checking out the cars here on the motor show. This one here, the GLS, definitely the bigger one. If you need those 7-seater option or just a little bit more trunk space. In this new generation, it also, you know, feels quite agile to drive actually, and it will be even more in the AMG version. So the question is really, do you have any problems with parking space with the GLS? In Europe, it gets a little bit more complicated. It's easier than to drive with the GLE. Of course, even more with the GLC. It's even better than in the narrow European streets. But definitely the new GLS generation and the GLE, they are quite similar, especially like the front cockpit and so on. And the driving is also not too different. I wonder if there will be more difference than when they are in those AMG versions. Or this is also pretty similar. We'll find out more about that later on. The GLE, of course, for US purposes, it's not such a huge car then. For European purposes, yeah, it's already quite full-size-ish. It is a little bit more agile drive, yes. It also looks maybe a little bit better because you have a little bit more fluent line, especially in the rear. Again, from the interior, they don't have such a big difference here, especially in this new GLE generation. More legroom than before. Also, if you think about the other premium competitors, really leading in the legroom segment here. However, then again, this falling bench, you have to be aware of that too. So, I think, price-wise, yes, the GLS will be even more expensive. So I would rather go with the GLE because I don't really need the space of a GLS. But the question is then, for your big family, for example, or for even more luggage, then you're a little bit more flexible. So both cars come quite close in a way. Also power-wise, told you earlier, there's no S version here of the GLS, but there's an S version for the GLE. Yeah, if you go for the 63 or 63S, this is usually a little bit customer rip-off, to be honest, because you pay so much more money even just for the S version, just to get a little bit more horsepower, a little bit more equipment here and there. So I think you should really decide between the 63 models, GLE or the GLS. What do you think, What's the right one for you? Please leave me your feedback. And it was also very interesting to compare today when we think about the BMW X5 or X6M. Because we've seen that interior-wise, BMW is leading at the moment, their interior build quality-wise now. They also have a completely different style. The style of the Mercedes from the interior, a little bit more sensual, definitely. The BMW style, a little bit more drawn back and sportier. Also, the seating choices are way sportier. So it's also interesting, this market position where Mercedes more goes into this like classic comfort level. And also here with the air suspension, whereas BMW goes more in the sporty direction and goes for the M model standard with the normal adaptive non-air suspension. So pretty interesting what they do, and also interesting for you to see, and definitely compare also those other videos we have here for you today. Sad that they don't offer any animal skin alternatives here in the top sports models, whereas the choices they usually have at Mercedes are really awesome. Power-wise, this one will be more than you ever need, definitely. It will be more fun to drive, yeah, because of the acceleration. But there are also, other interesting models. For example, Those 3-liter 6-cylinders are actually pretty decent. We've driven the 450, so a GLE 450 would be a nice one. There will be a petrol PHEV coming up as well. And we've already driven the diesel PHEV, which would also very interesting, definitely. With a big battery they have put in, one of the biggest for a PHEV car on the market at the moment. So, a lot more to hear and see about the GLE and both of the GLS. Tune into those videos, linked in the video description and also in the pinned comment. And now please leave me your comment as well. Which one is the one for you today? GLS or GLE in general? And especially if you think about the AMG versions we've shown to you here today. Thanks so much for tuning into this episode.